Well, friends, it's been a minute. August through to October is just an extraordinarily busy time of year for me, and I have a lot of weekends that I have prior commitments to be out of town. Of course, I'm working still during the week, so it's been rough to get time to come down. But here I am today, and I need to deal with the next step in prepping the body. And the last really constructive piece, I would say, is figuring out what to do with the heel of the neck here. Now, I could leave it, but this is not the prettiest chunk of the neck with these two opposing end grains there. And also, when I got this celluloid binding, it came in a very particular length strip. It was just enough to get around, and I didn't have sufficient length on this piece of 1/4 inch celluloid to get the binding to go around the edge. And so it looks kind of weird to me with the binding just sitting there, and I thought this would be one nice thing to kind of decorate up. So what I think I'm going to do is actually make a cap for the heel out of a piece of nice dark cherry that'll match the cherry coming through, and then inlay a hollow circle of the maple from the top. So we've got a bit of this wavy maple in a circle in the middle of that, and inlay it over here. So in order to do that, first I got to make the inlay, and then secondly, I need to shave just a little bit off the end of the heel here because from the template, it's kind of rounded over on the corners. And of course, I need to get it back so that it's square. And to do that, I'll clamp up a guide on one side and just shave off the end there with the router. And I think that'll add just a nice decorative element. I mean, you don't spend a lot of time looking at guitar heels, but I have no idea whether this will be the only guitar I ever build or not. And this is an area that's just, if there's one thing about this so far that I think could be improved, it's this little bit on the heel is just not the most attractive. Okay, got the end of this flushed up. It's nice and smooth, very light sand with a 220, and it is ready to accept a heel cap. Heel cap's gonna be made out of that cherry. So I am now going to have to work on the cherry, get the maple inlay in it, and then I'll cut that whole inlay to size to fit onto the heel and flush that up. A little bit of glue, we should be good to go. So I'm making a template for the inlay that's going to go on the heel. It's going to use a brass template inlay bushing to cut the first circle, and I'm going to have to do 3 basically inlaid circles. I have to cut out the circle, then I got to cut out an inlay out of the maple, and then I got to put another inlay of cherry into the middle of the maple so that you end up with a ring. And we do that with an inlay bushing on the router. So I'm starting off with 1 1/4 inch circle here, which ought to give me 7/8 of an inch, which is about the right size outside diameter for the circle on the heel. And so I just got to stick this template in, start routing. The first thing I'll do is cut out the main circle, and then I will do one for the outside of it. Okay, got the first part of the inlay done, and theoretically this maple plug should fit perfectly in that cherry circle. Now that I have the inlay together, I need to sand it down, get it leveled out, and then cut it out to size to fit the heel. Well, I have the heel pretty well laid out the way I want it on the grain. I've got it down to the thickness that I want it. I've measured and did a cutout and fit the cutout onto the heel itself to double check the size. I'm going to go a little bit bigger, and then I'll end up using a flush cut router bit to trim it to final size once it's glued on. So now I just need to cut this out just a hair bigger than actual size so I have some room to trim and get it glued up. All clamped up, it's glued on to the heel. I've got just a tiny bit of overlap on all four sides of the heel so that I can take a flush trim bit at the end and trim it all even, and then I'll round it over and round the corners. So this is going to have to dry up for a day or two, and maybe I'll cover the trimming in a different episode, but yeah, that's pretty pedestrian stuff at this point. So that was an adventure. I like it.